Hi, my name is Tori Pendleton, and this PowerPoint presentation is in fulfillment of the requirements for HSCO 508 Interpersonal Communications through Liberty University for D-Term 2014. Slide 2 identifies the contents of my PowerPoint presentation. I will be reviewing the nature of communication, my overarching goals, enlarging my conversation, who I am. I will give you background and behavioral blend influences that have been in my life. Then we will identify barriers, talk about noise pollution, and then I will share my plan of action. The nature of communication. Interpersonal communication is more than just talking or sharing a message. It involves enlarging the conversation. By developing a relationship with those around us, we build them up, we want to encourage growth, and we want to provide peace within our world. Stewart said there is a direct link between the quality of our communications and the quality of our life. Slide 3. In the nature of communication, some definitions that I have for you. Communication, Stewart says, is the continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning-making. Interpersonal communication, on the other hand, is people involved talking and listening to maximize the presence of the personal. Presence of the personal is an actual relationship development that goes on within interpersonal communications. Inter means between, and person is what the word interpersonal is made up of. There are 6 features of communications that were shared by Stewart. Meaning, working together to develop understanding. Choice is an active and subconscious decision. There is our culture that comes into play. Our identities are who we are or who we want people to see us as. Our conversation is actually talking to each other. And then what Stewart says is the most important thing is nexting. That is, what can I help to happen next? Meaning, what can I do? The question we should always ask ourselves is what can I do to make communication more profitable? In slide 5, I've shared some statistics here. 40% of our conversations are from listening, 35% are from talking, 16% are from reading, and then 9% is writing. Listening and talking make up over 70% of our communications. Listening appears to have the greatest impact on expanding our conversations. We will talk about behavioral blends and their influence on communications, and then barriers and noise also hinder communications. Slide 6. For an overarching goal is the number one priority related to all of the smaller components of interpersonal communication. My OAG, or overarching goal, is to fulfill both James 1:19 in being quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Also, I would like to be able to be called prudent by following Proverbs 10:19, whoever restrains his lips is prudent. Slide 7, overarching goal. I desire to understand my own communication patterns and others' communication patterns through this course in order to develop healthier patterns of communication and deeper relationships. In slide 8, I share what it means to me to enlarge my conversation. For Carbonell, How to Solve the People Puzzle, that helped me to develop an understanding of personality traits that affect communication. Stewart's Bridges, Not Walls offered insight into what proper interpersonal communication should look like. Why Don't We Listen Better focused on the downward spiral of communication and how it can suffer if not handled correctly. Listening, the Forgotten Skill, was a good book to provide practical assessments, and exercises to increase our communication skills. And then the interpersonal communication skills test and the Uniquely You profiles, each of these assessments provide an insight into my own personal patterns and personalities. Slide 9. Two of the characteristics of interpersonal conversation or conversation that we can talk about are monologue and dialogue. These two are things that help develop conversation if we understand them. Monologue is all other voices are silenced, speaking with no intentions for interaction. It's an authoritative type or a parent lecturing a child, and it is a very closed off type of communication. Whereas dialogue has several voices working out, meaning together, tension for letting the other happen to me while holding my ground. All opinions given the same amount of importance, and it is very open. The description that I read in Baxter and Acor had a discussion of family members, parents and children, who sat down and had a dialogue. The difference between the children being able to express themselves and everybody's opinion meaning the same thing, dialogue, and monologues where the parents just lectured their children. It was a much more profitable type of conversation for them to engage in dialogue with each other. Who am I? Slide 10 tells us that I am a Christian, and I accepted Jesus when I was 15 years old. I've been married to my husband, Nelson, for 22 years. I have been a U.S. Air Force wife for over 18 of those. I'm a home educator. I'm the mom to Caitlin, who is 19, Michaela, who is 16, Garrett, who is 13. I am a geriatric nurse. I've been a ministry leader, graduated from Liberty University, and I am currently a HSCO graduate student at Liberty University. This background has caused me to hover between two very large extremes, making me either talkative or shy, depending on when we move or what we do or if I'm in a new situation with other people. Sometimes I can be very outgoing, sometimes I can be very reserved. I can be very motivated if I need to get things done, but I can also be very complacent when things are okay. Knowledgeable, and also at times I'm ignorant. I'm very knowledgeable about some things that I'm familiar with, military life, homeschooling, nursing, ministry. Sometimes, though, I am very ignorant to coming into situations, not knowing what to expect. And sometimes I'm very happy, and or I can be very sad. And those are on any given day. So to understand in slide 12, we talked about behavioral blends. We talked about the DISC profile, active and outgoing, task, people-oriented, passive, and reserved. The behavioral blend is explained as, this is what is expected, how I behave, communicate, and interact with people on the outside, when I'm at work, when I'm at church, those type of things. And this is me. This is who I am when I am at home, and I am much more relaxed. In slide 13, my behavioral blend when I did the Carbonell Uniquely You profile was high D. I'm very dominant, direct, demanding, determined. And I'm also above the midline. This pegs me as being an overachiever because I strive to be the best of all four types. The D, the I, the C, and the S. And slide 14, some of the typical attributes of dominant D are, I like to take charge, they're task-oriented, very confident, very resilient, moves on quickly, believe not quitting is expected. I believe that people expect me to go on whether I want to or not. I'm a hard worker, and I can be insensitive at times. Above the midline says that I am an overachiever. All lines are above the graph, meaning that I scored above the graph on all of the lines for the behavioral blend process. I'm motivated to act as each behavioral blend type Not more of one or the other, just I desire to be the best that I possibly can in all of them. Slide 15, positive aspects of dominant D. I can be committed, hardworking, quick decision maker. I'm determined. No is not an answer. Get her done kind of person. And I can be a strong leader. My above the midline is I strive to be the best possible. I can be very flexible, exhibit all possible aspects of each type. Leadership identifies with all types, able to follow, and committed, but yet I can be very flexible. Slide 16, identifying barriers. There are certain barriers that come with interpersonal communication. Things such as what Peterson called the flat brain syndrome. This is where the stomach gets filled up with negative energy. It squeezes off the heart, so the heart becomes hardened and can't feel, which means it crowds out any kind of positive brain function that is possible. The flat brain tango is where people who suffer from the flat brain syndrome dance around subjects in constant negativity, never coming to a profitable end. Perception, reception, and attention. These are internal processes that distract the listener from the speaker. These are the things that are going on inside of our mind when someone else is talking to us. Physical barriers. The listener's tired. The listener's distracted. Many types of physical barriers keep people from paying attention. And then semantics. What a person says does not necessarily always mean what the listener hears. Sometimes you hear things that people say and they really don't mean what the person was trying to express to you. Some of the noise pollution as barriers that we do experience in slide 17, we have internal and external forces that work together to disrupt proper communications. On the inside, there's negativity, confusion, bitterness, low self-esteem, second-guessing ourselves, and fatigue. On the outside, there's actual noise, negative people, hearing loss, interruptions, time, and deadlines are often very, very much noise pollutions that we hear both internally and externally that keep us from having proper communications with people. Slide 18, some of the solutions to noise pollution that I have noticed are, for the internal noise pollution, learn to pay attention, even when you're not interested. Put preconceived ideas aside. Avoid judging the speaker based on your past experiences. Strive to hear what is being said. Confront the emotions that the listening creates. Pay attention to how what someone is saying to you makes you feel, and then analyze whether or not it's an appropriate feeling to have. External noise pollution. Seek out a quiet place. Avoid distractions. Seek comfortable room temperatures. Allow only one person to talk at a time, and avoid external noise pollution. My plan of action is to internalize proper interpersonal communication ideology, understanding my overreaching goal, work to enlarge my conversation. I'm going to recognize positive and negative effects of my behavioral blends, understand my barriers to communication, confront internal noise pollution, and avoid external noise pollution. In conclusion, by learning about the nature of communication in an effort to meet my overarching goal, I can enlarge my conversation as I relate to others. This new understanding of how interpersonal communication will stem from an understanding of how my background and behavioral blend affects my communication style. To accomplish all of this, communication barriers and noise pollution has to be addressed, and the plan of action must be established. The hope is that all of these activities will lead to a deeper conversation that includes not only talking and listening, but more intimate relationships as well. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.